Welcome into Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are giving you the March Madness breakdown that you need to know today, and you can't teach that. Bada boom. Man, the people in the room. Grant, how you doing?
Doing good, Tanner. I was teasing all last week the build up to the best time of the year, the best time in college basketball, and it's finally here. And Selection Sunday already, I think we got some drama. The fact Virginia made it into the field was kind of shocking, but I do think there are some very interesting regions. I think some teams got it easier, some teams got it tougher than others. So excited to talk about it with you. Get your thoughts on all of it.
Definitely. I think it's important to get a good draw in the NCAA tournament to win it. But the bottom line, no matter if you're in the East, the South, the Midwest, or the West, you're going to have to win tough games to get to the Final Four. That's what it comes down to. So we're going to talk about UConn here in a minute. Everyone's talking about how UConn has a tough draw. They're going to have to win big games no matter what bracket, no matter what part of the bracket they're in. So we're going to talk about all that on today's show. Also going to give some first four picks for Tuesday and Wednesday's night games. And you can't teach that. Bada boom, man. The people in the room. Grant, tell them why they should subscribe to WSN.
Yeah, obviously, WSN Tanner and I are going to be right here on the YouTubes giving out some picks throughout the college basketball tournament, the March Madness. We've been doing NBA. We did the NFL during that season. We got MLB approaching, but it's all March Madness on the channel for now, so obviously subscribe to that. And then go on over and check out WSN.com. We've got a whole bunch of writing content over there, previews and picks for every game. We also got sportsbook bonuses. Any special deals that are going on during March Madness, you're going to be able to find them there. So go on over to WSN.com. Make sure you're always locked into what we've got going on.
Definitely. So our plan for the show this week, we're going to start with a little bracket breakdown, give some first four picks on today's show. For Wednesday, we're going to look to the Thursday, Friday games. And then on Friday, we'll probably look to the Saturday, Sunday games. Well, we won't have the Sunday ones, I guess, locked in on Friday, but we'll look to Saturday's games for sure and give some betting picks there. So make sure you tune in all week, guys. And let's start with the bracket today. So the biggest storyline that came out of yesterday's bracket reveal, I think, is UConn getting a very tough draw in the East region. They got Stetson in the first round. That should be no problem. But also in the East, you got FAU, a team that went to the Final Four last year. You got San Diego State, a team that UConn beat in the national championship last year. Auburn's a very good team, even though they've seen a lot of people potentially taking Yale over them in that first round. A little surprising there. You got BYU's a decent team. Illinois won the Big Ten. Drake, Washington State shouldn't be any issues. And then Iowa State, who won the Big 12. So you have a lot of tournament champions there. You have a lot of teams with a good history in the NCAA tournament. So, Grant, does UConn get out of the East region?
Well, so I don't know. I think before the bracket was revealed, I thought I was taking UConn. After seeing it, I'm not totally sure. I saw one of those mathematical, statistical breakdowns of the field, and apparently Houston is the most likely team to win it all. Obviously, they're a good team, but I think it is more about their region and the teams they have to go through. You know, no region is easy, but I think it is easier than what you're going to see in the West and the Midwest. Those are probably the two standouts. So should UConn win this region, they should be favored. I'm looking at odds from FanDuel right now. They've got UConn at plus 110. I don't think they're worth that. I think they're going to be some really tough games for them. And I want to touch on what you said about people picking Yale over Auburn. I love Auburn. Like, I think Auburn has a real chance to make a deep run in this thing. If we go by the good old trusted Ken Palm, there has not been a national champion that was not top 40. Is it top 40 in offense or defense? Do you know?
Top 40 in offense, 25 in defense.
Yeah, so 22. So top 40 in offense, top 22 in defense. Auburn is 10th in offense and 4th on defense, according to Ken Palm. They're the 4th ranked team as far as the composite. It goes UConn, Houston, Purdue, Auburn, and actually Iowa State at number 5, and they're also in this region. So I don't think this is an easy draw for UConn whatsoever. Again, I hate the price of plus 110. They're probably my pick to get out of there. But like I said, I almost like Auburn. I almost want to go with Auburn. Like, I view it as kind of a 50-50 between them as the team that I like the most. And then again, you know, you can't forget about Iowa State. You can't forget about Illinois, some of these other teams that are out there.
So I got Iowa State to win the East at plus 550 last night. It dropped down to plus 400. I also have UConn in there as well. So I'm banking on hopefully one of those teams to win the East. But I think when you look at Auburn, that's definitely UConn's toughest competition. UConn does have a tough draw. But last night I'm watching like ESPN and CBS. There's not like one person not taking UConn to get to the Final Four, which is a little wild. A lot can happen. But if UConn is as good as they are, we're going to find out here. My biggest thing that nobody's really talking about in the East is like UConn might have got a tough draw when it comes to the teams, but they got a very easy draw when it comes to location. In the first weekend, you're going to be in Brooklyn. In the second weekend, you're going to be in Boston. So you have a 2-hour bus ride either way, and it's going to be a lot of UConn fans in the arena both times. So that's something people aren't talking about. That's a huge advantage for UConn. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree 100%. With college and amateur sports, it's honestly just those things that are going on behind the scenes that matter so much. Is a team flying or riding a bus? Like, is a game near? Do you get an extra day of rest? Or sometimes the opposite. Like with these college kids, the second night of a back-to-back doesn't matter. I mean, of course, you don't get back-to-backs in the tournament, but are these teams, can they stay hot? It's all these small things that don't usually affect the pros because they're far more experienced. With teams like this, and speaking of experience, like which team is made of seniors, which team is made of freshmen. Like there's a reason that the one and done kids aren't necessarily great at winning national championships. So yeah, there's a whole lot of sub-contextual factors that play into it. And for UConn to be so close to home to start the tournament, that should be a nice way for them to ease themselves into this postseason play.
Yeah, I think it's going to be UConn, Illinois, Iowa State, or Auburn. One of the top 4 teams will find a way to win the East.
I would probably, with the odds, considering the odds, I would probably bet Auburn right now, plus 500 at FanDuel. Maybe you can find it better for somewhere else. But yeah, like I said, I think those are my top 2 teams in the region: UConn, Auburn. UConn's probably a little bit better, but I like Auburn.
Yeah, and if UConn is as good as everyone says they are, and they win this region, they're going to earn it. In the South, we have Houston, as you were saying, has probably the easiest road to get to the title game or get to the Final Four, but they have some other good teams on this side of the bracket. Duke, who I don't really take that seriously because they're a bunch of whiners. You have Kentucky, who plays absolutely no defense, and then you have Marquette as the 2 seed here, and if they don't have Tyler Kolek back, which I think they will, but if they don't, they're not that good of a basketball team. They're not an elite basketball team without him. So, like you said, Grant, Houston has a very not easy draw, but they could get here pretty easily.
There are problems with all of the teams, like all of the top teams they're facing. Whereas, again, like Marquette is a good team, Duke is a good team, Kentucky is a good team, Wisconsin is a good team, but they have issues. If you go back to the West, like sure, Iowa State might not have the most explosive offense, but their record speaks for itself. Auburn is one of the most well-rounded teams. Illinois is a tough team to beat, so they have less holes in their game. To your point with Duke, it's hard to take them seriously. They're a good basketball team, but I just don't think anybody sees them making a deep run. Kentucky, not even top 100 in defensive efficiency. You're simply put, you're not going to win a tournament playing like that. Marquette is one of the few teams that fits the Ken Pom criteria, top 40, top 22. But their best player, Tyler Kolek, is injured. And apparently he's going to play in the tournament, but we don't know if he's going to play in the first round. And you might be thinking, well, this team should be fine getting past their first round opponent. Yeah, they should be. But if you're missing your best player, and especially you're missing your initiator, the guy who starts your whole offense, then if all of a sudden your offense isn't working, where do you go from there? Like you can easily be upset in this first round or two. It's no cakewalk there. So Houston should win this region, and they are the best team. I think Marquette is not a so distant second, but I think you do got to look at Houston here.
I agree with that. I think Houston's definitely the team that can get it done here. I wouldn't rule out Kentucky yet because their offense is so good. Like they can score 90 points a night. And if you can score and shoot the lights out for 4 straight games, you probably have a chance to go to the Final Four. However, it's very tough to shoot the lights out for 4 straight games. So something to keep in mind. The upset that I'm looking at in the first round is JMU. They're 4.5-point dog against Wisconsin. I think they could beat Wisconsin outright. The Badgers are a good team, but James Madison's also only lost a few times this season. They beat Michigan State to start the year, and they know how to win games. So that would be the upset that I'm looking at in the first round. You like that, Grant?
I do, yeah. And this isn't so much an upset, but a team that maybe could wait and pull an upset if they win their first game. I think Nebraska could be a serious team here. I think they could win a couple of games, maybe make a little Sweet 16 run. Tominaga, their guard, super fun to watch. He's going to be one of the favorites of a lot of people. You know how we get those players that people don't know about, and all of a sudden, if they win a few games in March Madness, they're like the national hero. If Nebraska wins a couple of games, it could be this guy. He's super fun to watch. Shoots the three pretty well. Just makes some highlight plays. But yeah, Nebraska would be a team that I would say you might be sleeping on. But if they get out of that first round, then they could be an upset team waiting to happen.
Definitely. Now on to the West here. North Carolina is the 1 seed. They're waiting for a play-in team. I think North Carolina has a relatively decent path to at least the Elite Eight. I think it could be a North Carolina, Arizona final here. Not much to say about this part of the bracket. I don't think it's the best in the world. I don't think it's the worst. I think it's just kind of average, but I do like North Carolina's chance to getting to the Elite Eight. You're going to have to go through Mississippi State or Michigan State in the second round, and then you're going to get Alabama, Charleston, St. Mary's, or Grand Canyon in the Sweet 16. Should take care of St. Mary's, no problem. If they get there, Alabama doesn't play any defense. So I like North Carolina to get to the Elite Eight and ultimately win this side of the bracket. And I have a ticket on them at 20-1 right now to win the national championship.
I don't think Dayton. This is an interesting point of discussion because they are the 7 seed here. I don't think they beat a team in the field, and I'm just running through their schedule just to make sure. They beat Duquesne, and Duquesne's in because they won the conference tournament.
Duquesne's horrendous. Duquesne, VCU, every team in that conference is terrible. I watched that VCU Duquesne game, and I did have VCU in it, but Duquesne, it literally didn't score for like 15 minutes of the second half, and VCU still lost because they're terrible too.
So Dayton went 1-1 against teams that are in the field. They lost to Houston by 14, and they beat Duquesne by 10. And again, Duquesne is awful. I think they lost their final 4 games of the regular season, and then they somehow won the tournament. Congrats to them, obviously, but I'm not expecting them to win a game. But I think Dayton is a big question mark here because they are a good team, and they've got a lottery prospect at the top of their roster, but they're just unproven against competition. Like they're underdogs against Nevada. They're underdogs in the 7-10 game as the 7. So do they win early? Do they lose early? That could really shake up this whole region here. And then a team that I think could cause a little bit of problems here, Baylor. And I mean, they're one of the top 3 seeds, so shouldn't be so surprising. But at plus 650 to win the region, I think they're being a little bit disrespected. Their offense is incredible. They're one of 3 teams in the nation that shoots 40% from 3 as a team, not just a player, as a team. Scott Drew has led this team, not this team, but he's led this school to a national championship a few years ago. I think they could be a team that could get out of here and get past Arizona, get past North Carolina.
I agree. When you actually really break down the bracket a little more and talk about it like this, UConn did get a really tough draw in their conference. That's what I'm seeing right now, just talking about these regions. And I'm a UConn guy, so maybe that's what I'm dwelling on here. But I still think North Carolina comes out of this, or Arizona. Do you like Arizona?
Arizona is interesting because I think they are probably one of the 5 or 6 best teams just as far as what happened in the regular season. But I know Caleb Love because I've seen him a lot now. I think this is his 5th. Is this his 5th year? It's either his 4th or 5th year, but I've seen him play a lot of postseason basketball, especially because UNC went on that run to the title game a few years ago. And he's improved his efficiency, shooting like 35.5% from 3, which isn't great, but it's enough to get by in college basketball. But he's never met a shot that he didn't love. And if that shot is not falling, it's a one and done. If you lose once, you are out of the tournament. I can see Caleb Love going 2 of 13 from 3. Again, I've seen it before. And if that happens, you're going to need someone else to step up and carry the load because he is clearly the best player as far as scoring the ball goes. Now, Arizona does have other talented players, but I just don't know if in that situation, Caleb Love would be able to get out of his own way. So is Arizona a great team? Yeah, but I truly think they are just one Caleb Love bad night away from being eliminated. So I would be fading them in this region for that reason.
I agree. I think Baylor could be a decent pick here just because, like you said, Arizona has some issues. North Carolina, what I saw from them in the ACC tournament was disgusting. A lack of effort and desire to win. So yeah.
I will say UNC is one of the most experienced teams, especially with their stars with Baycott and RJ Davis. Hubert Davis might not be experienced, but the players are, and that does matter in March Madness.
Yeah, RJ Davis is good. You can say the same thing about Duke though, with like Filipowski. I guess not as experienced with Filipowski and Roach. Like they still can't get over the hump either. They're terrible too. They all everyone points their fingers except UConn. That's what it comes down to. All right, Grant. Midwest time. Purdue has lost to a 13 seed, a 15 seed, and a 16 seed in 21, 22, and 23. So they're trying to go for another loss to a 16 seed. Only 2 teams have ever lost to a 16 seed as a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Purdue is one of them last year against Fairleigh Dickinson. They are still waiting for their opponent, so they will play the winner of Grambling versus Montana State. This is the bracket that, like, I think the committee gave us for somebody to get over the hump. Purdue has really struggled in the NCAA tournament in the Zach Edey era. They have a very good chance to get to the Elite Eight at least. And then Tennessee also has not had a lot of luck, especially under their current head coach. So I think I'm looking at Purdue or Tennessee to get to the final. I don't really see many upset teams here. Creighton potentially if they're making threes, but they're not physical at all, and that's going to hurt them in this bracket. I think South Carolina could do a little damage potentially as a 6 seed, but this is as heavy of a Purdue Tennessee final that I can see based on these teams.
I like what you said about this is the bracket for someone to get over the hump. And I would include Creighton in there because they've been, the Big East. I think the Big East has an argument to be the best region in college basketball, or the best conference, excuse me. Certainly it's one of the best, but for a while it was, they're not a Power 5 school. And then even when they rose to prominence, it was UConn and Marquette. They're the teams of the conference, not Creighton. With Kansas, I mean, they were one of the best teams all year, and then their 2 best players get injured. So maybe not getting over the hump because they did win a national championship recently, but getting back to what they were. With Gonzaga, this team has fallen off to where it was a perennial 1 seed. Now it's just a 6 seed, I believe, either a 5 or a 6. Texas probably should be better than it was this season. I think they were 9-9 against the conference. So are they going to step up? It is a region dedicated to which team will step up. So I do like the way that you put it. For me, I don't like any of these teams as far as like futures to win the whole thing. I just cannot bring myself to bet on Zach Edey and Purdue. And I understand college basketball and NBA are totally different, but I have this thing where if your best player is not going to the NBA and you're on like a legit national championship contender in a big game somewhere, that's going to come back to bite you. And I mean, it was against Fairleigh Dickinson last year where their tallest player was like 6'3". So Purdue should win this region. That's what it boils down to. But I don't trust them. But I also don't trust Tennessee or Creighton or Kansas or any of these teams. So honestly, I'm just gonna have to go through these games one by one on my bracket to figure out who I'm picking to win the whole region. I do want to get your thoughts on an upset though. I think Gonzaga could be on upset alert in the first round against McNeese. McNeese is 6.5-point dog. They're interesting to me because they play extremely well on offense. They're extremely efficient. They shoot 49% from the field, 39% from 3. And we saw this with Florida Atlantic last year. They had the best record in the nation. I think they were 31-3. McNeese is 30-3. And granted, they haven't played a difficult schedule, but when you form those winning habits and you just have that confidence saying, look, we have beaten nearly everybody in front of us, and we're just going to continue that momentum into the tournament. I think that could, it's important. And Gonzaga's coming off a loss to St. Mary's in their conference. I think this is a potential first round upset here.
So I would agree with that. There's a few upsets on the board that I've seen people talk about. Number 1 is Yale over Auburn, which I just don't see that too much, but a lot of people like Yale over Auburn for an upset pick. There is, New Mexico over Clemson, which would be a seed upset. It wouldn't be a
betting upset.
Betting upset. James Madison over Wisconsin. That was the biggest upset there. And then in this side of the bracket in the Midwest, McNeese over Gonzaga was another one of those upset picks. I think it's very possible this is the weakest Gonzaga team we've seen in years, but also Gonzaga knows how to win in the NCAA tournament, at least the early rounds. They have been to the Sweet 16 for the past, since 2015, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 2020 was COVID, 22 and 23. So they've been to the Sweet 16 year after year after year. They find ways to win. I do think this is a weak team and there's definitely upset alert, but I think Gonzaga will find a way to pull it off.
My other upset pick here, I like Utah State in this one. I don't know how you feel about that one. I think I'm probably going to take them outright to beat TCU.
I like Utah State here too. I agree with that. I think Utah State's the more well-rounded, better team. Yeah, I like good pick here.
I mean, just super quickly, and then we'll jump into some first four picks. According to FanDuel, betting odds to win the whole thing: UConn plus 400, Houston plus 600, Purdue 700, and then you've got Arizona at 15-1, UNC and Tennessee at 16-1, Creighton and Auburn at 2,000 plus 2,000, and then it all just spirals up from there. Do you have? I mean, I know you like UConn, but would you be willing to bet them for plus 400, or would you bet them game to game and put like a dark horse bet down? Where would you go with that?
I like UConn to see. I'm nervous. I don't know. I like UConn to win for 4-1. It's probably not worth it, but if they're going to win the national championship, I would say it's probably worth it. If they can get out of the East, they're going to win the national championship. They're not going to lose to Carolina or Arizona in the Final Four. I'll tell you that. And then they probably will beat Houston and either Purdue or Tennessee on the other side. So I think UConn's toughest test is going to be in the Sweet 16 against Auburn. If they can win that game, I think they go all the way to the national championship. But I do like them for 4-1 there. Houston, I don't like. I think Houston's offense is a problem. Purdue, I don't like. They just can't win the big game. But I like Carolina for 16-1. That would probably be my favorite bet, pending UConn doesn't get out of the East region. And then potentially Auburn for 20-1. If you think Auburn can beat UConn in the Sweet 16, that's a decent play. And then Iowa State for 23-1 as well. So looking at the East, that's the strongest bracket. I think the team that comes out of there is going to be the best position to win the national championship.
I want to pull up the list. This will be how I close it out, but I want to pull up the list of the Ken Palm teams that fit the criteria because I know there wasn't many of them. Top 40 in adjusted offense, top 22 in adjusted defense. The teams that meet that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. There's UConn, Houston, Purdue, Arizona, Tennessee, Auburn, North Carolina, and Marquette. So those are the 8 teams that, since Ken Palm started, that fit the criteria of potential championship winners. For me personally, I'm with you. I think the winner of that UConn Auburn game very well could make it to the national championship game and win the whole thing. Purely from a value perspective, I would go with Auburn. I think UConn is a slightly better team, but I don't think it's a difference between plus 400 and plus 2,000. So that would probably be my favorite dark horse bet on the board.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like that a lot. I just think everyone's high on UConn. Are they going to, like, we can go off history and say UConn's not going to get back and not going to win a national championship, but like this team is also, you can't go off history. You got to look at year to year, and they've been the best team in the country all season. They don't get down on each other. They can score. They can win tight games. They can do it all. I mean, they have playmakers all over the floor. So I think even UConn for 4-1 is not a bad bet.
But you do have to keep in mind, we do this with every team. Like when a team wins a championship, of course we like them the next year. Like we saw them do it.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, this could be the next Patrick Mahomes dynasty with the Chiefs, you know.
And well, it's different because it's college, but I see what you're saying.
But you know what I'm saying? Like the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. UConn has the best team in the country. Like I just think this is a different team this year. And again, if they can get past Auburn, they're going to be just fine. Getting past Auburn in the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16 will be very hard. But hopefully they can do it.
First 4 picks, Tanner. Wagner versus Howard. We are on the opposite sides of this one. I got Wagner. I think they've got a tough defense. Their offense is horrendous, but in a tournament game, you're going against Howard. Howard's offense is better, but it's not a team with an offense that's inevitable. You know, it's not a UConn. It's not a North Carolina. It's Howard. Like you can still stop them. And when you've got a better defense like Wagner does, I feel like that can disrupt them. I'm going to go ahead and take them, but I know you are on the opposite side and you have Howard.
I'm on Howard. I think they're a slightly better team here. Again, you're flipping a coin for the 16 versus 16 play-in game. But I do like Howard here. Bryce Harris has been very good this season, can do a lot for him. 16.7 rebounds. Big guard, 6'4", 220, shooting 55% from the field. I think if he gets hot, they'll be just fine in this one. I would play them on the money line, though. I'm seeing like minus 165 on ESPN bet right now. It was minus 150, I believe, on FanDuel this morning. It might be minus 155 now, but get it early. Like that's why you got it minus 156. So I would get this right now on the money line or just live bet these games too. I think for the first four, you're going to see some good live betting opportunities because you are flipping coins with these teams.
Grambling and Montana State. Do you have a pick here?
No, I have no picks for the Wednesday night games, really. I would lean towards Colorado in that Colorado-Boise State game on Wednesday, but I'm only really focusing on Tuesday. By Wednesday night, I'll be just looking ahead to the next bracket to the main game starting at noon on Thursday.
Okay, well then the other Tuesday game we've got UVA going against Colorado State there, the University of Virginia. As a Virginia Tech Hokie, I have seen plenty of Virginia. They're awful. They are a disgrace to the game of basketball. Tony Bennett is a phenomenal coach. I don't want to take that away from him. But if you have not seen this team play and you are excited, you're ecstatic to watch March Madness, don't watch this game. Please, like you will get a sour taste in your mouth. They play at the slowest pace in all of college basketball. They have no offense to speak of whatsoever. And to make it even better, Colorado State is also like 300 plus and as far as pace goes. This is going to be a game that finishes like 45-42. I think it's going to be awful. With that being said, though, I think Colorado State, I'm just going to go with them. I mean, I respect Tony Bennett, but I've seen these games where it's like, okay, this is a Tony Bennett coach team. They should win this game off of him alone. It hasn't happened yet this season. It's a miracle they even got invited to the tournament. I will take Colorado State.
It's a miracle they got invited to the tournament. I think for that reason, they're going to show up and play hard in this game. If Virginia wins, they could realistically don't be surprised if Virginia wins this game. They go in, they could beat Texas and then probably lose to Tennessee in the second round. But they play slow. I think that's going to mess with their opponent here in Colorado State. Look for that to be the difference. They need to score a little bit. They definitely need to score more than they have, but they have beaten good teams just by their pace of play. And if they can get into a rhythm where they control this game. So hopefully they can do that here. And hopefully they're thankful they're playing in the NCAA tournament because they shouldn't have been here.
Yeah. I mean, look, the first four games are cool, but we're all waiting for the real thing to start.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good little warm up. It's a money grab. That's all it is. It's a money grab by the NCAA trying to get these first four games. Like, if you're a 10 seed, you should never have to play in. It should be all 16 seeds.
I've never understood that. I have never understood that.
No, it should be. If you want to do a first four, it should be a 16 seed, and every region has to play in. It's unfair to make 10 seeds play in.
Yeah, 100%. It should be like, I mean, granted, this came first, but it should be like the NBA play-in tournament. Like, if you want one of the final two spots, you play for them. To your point, why are we playing for a 10 seed when 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and some 16s are safe? Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, unless if they're all automatic qualifiers, that's one thing. But like 16 should be playing. So that's what it comes down to. I hate how the 10s have to play in, but that's just me. Anyways, Grant, ride the line for Monday.
Breakdown. Yes, ride the line for Monday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure that you have subscribed to the channel if you have not already. Like the video, drop some comments. Let us know what you think of our dark horse picks, of our favorites from the region. Let us know which teams you like in this tournament. And Tanner, go ahead and take us on out of here.
That was Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. We'll see you on Wednesday for another episode.